Welcome back. We are live right now. Are you ready to have a conversation with us? We will open up the phone lines almost immediately after we hear the sound bites. Our call center ready to take your calls as you call in. But first off, let's tell you who is sitting right beside me here in the studio to have this conversation on this show we also call Conversations. Dayo Fagbulu, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you.
It's a pleasure.
I was just thinking to myself on my way to the office this morning when I had just gotten off the phone with you, and I was saying to myself, I think Dayo Fagbulu is the most prominent guest on my show.
Well, that's nice. I feel honored. that's the best way to put it. I feel honored.
Really. What do you guys think, my viewers? I think Dayo Fagbulu should get that, that ranking as the most popular guest on Conversations. And my shows generally, I think, yes. So it's always a pleasure having you, Dayo Fagbulu, just to say that it's always also very resourceful. When we have you, you churn out very, very enlightening information that we need.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you very, very much for always being there for us.
You're welcome.
Now, today we're talking soundbite, state of the nation, and generally what people are seeing. I want to start off the soundbite episode with your own soundbite, because you walk into someone, a friend's office or a colleague's office or someone, a business partner, and by the time you sit down for 5 minutes, you can hardly go without touching on one or two topics regarding what's happening in Nigeria. And you know how the conversation goes from from one area to, a tanker explosion in front of Sheraton on Bank Anthony Mobility. Then you go from there to incident attacks on our roads, how they're unsafe. And then you go from there to, it's one ethnic group or one people from here. You go from there to, is there a president in Nigeria? Is there someone, impersonating? You go from there to southern governors, to northern governors, So let's hear your soundbite and let's see how we roll around these topics. What's your state of the nation?
I think the conversation is quite singular. I mean, what I mean by that is, we try to look at things from the perspective of leadership. Of course, I mean, our discussions stem from leadership as opposed to followership in Nigeria. And I think the bottom line is, I mean, we've been sold a dud. that's the best way to put it. We have a government in place that has made so many promises. I mean, they were bold about it. They were very precise about where they were going to. And they have been unable to meet any criteria.
And they sold that roadmap to us very convincingly.
Very convincingly. They were determined. They were boastful about it. They were brashful about it. They had no apologies. I mean, everything they said they would do, they have done none. There's no single item that they claim that they would do that they have done. I mean, so the conversation is extensive. Where do we want to start from? You've plunged 100 million people into poverty, and you've brought 10.5 million out of poverty. Where do we want to start from? You said you are nobody's president, you are everybody's president. I mean, we feel differently now. As far as we're concerned, you are a sectional president. We can go on and on. Fiscal policy, monetary policy, fuel subsidy. They said there was no fuel subsidy. All of a sudden, there is fuel subsidy. So where do we want to start the conversation from? They said they would end Boko Haram in a few months. Of course, we know what the story is now. It's worse. We can go on. Fashola says we'll have power in a few months. We're still at it. I mean, the conversation is endless, if that's the soundbite. And I guess it's the wariness of the conversation in itself is what I'm trying to focus on. We got sold a dud. And that's what we're dealing with now as a nation. Of course, it leads to everything else. Lawlessness on the streets, lawlessness of people, rebellion, resistance, sickness, stress, death. I mean, it's a whole multitude of things. And if you ask my personal opinion, I'd say there's only a similitude of a government, but a government doesn't exist. That's the best way I can put it. There's just so much confusion. The confusion that stems from failure, that comes from lies, that comes from an incompetence. Because now let me explain that word that I have used. When you lack the capacity to deliver on your promises, or when you lack the capacity to deliver on the standard that is expected of you or the standard you are committed to, it is referred to as incompetence. That means you do not have the wherewithal, irrespective of the challenge, you cannot meet that challenge. And you see, the conversation we're having, you can hear, is that, look, listen, whatever it is, the assumptions we've had were wrong. I mean, they claimed the intention was to come and address the needs of the people. He's added one core area, which he says, the system was never designed to work. Well, I may not agree with him. I may say, look, the system was designed to work. But basically, the problem with the system was those that designed the system did not know, they didn't understand how systems work. You see, every time you design something, there's something we call an underlying assumption. There's a premise on which you build. It's like a foundation. You assume that if you do 2 plus 2, it becomes 4. So, you're assuming that if you put two twos together, you're going to end up at something like 4, 6, 8, 10, in a sequence like that. Now, when you find out that, your 2 has now become 1.5 or 1.7, it changes the dynamics completely.
Especially when the narrative will be,
yes,
the remaining 0.5 was swallowed by a snake, which is unimaginable.
Well, look, let's indulge them, and assume that, that wasn't the point. That what they did was they laid down a plan in sincerity. That's what I'm trying to say now. The plan was sincere. So if it was 1.2 off, you're supposed to just tweak the system. Now, let's assume the system is the Constitution. By now, this Constitution should be evolving. I heard arguments like it took a couple of years for America to amend certain laws in their Constitution. I would assume that we would have learned that speed is not on our side. And we would have designed our own systems in such a way that we keep on tweaking it regularly to meet our desires and our needs. Of course, that's why I don't agree with him that, look, they may have had good intentions, they may have laid down the plan based on certain assumptions that were real, not to harness power in themselves, because nobody really knew who was going to be there, But the bottom line is, whatever it is they are doing, whatever it is they have done, is not working. Government is too big. Government is too ineffective. Government is deceptive. And it might not be deceptive by commission. It might be deceptive by omission. Because they are discordant. They are speaking, they're having a conversation that is differing to each other.
Now, talking about conversation,
yes,
and sound bites and opinions, I seem to be of the opinion that there are too many opinions, maybe targeted at one direction or a little bit above one, yes, maybe two. Majority pointing to the fact that the system isn't working, or the system has a need to be tweaked, like you put it.
Right.
And the tweaking not coming, the change not coming, with the amount of opinion, with the amount of suggestions, with the amount of complaints, and the sound bites and opinions coming out, I'm asking the question: why is that so? So much conversations, so much opinion, expression of the opinion, so much solutions being churned out. Why is it not changing?
I answered you. They lack the capacity to do anything. They're incompetent. That's all. They do not possess the competence to actually tweak the system. Motion is the processes we're going through now. It's just the motion. Movement is when people are rewarded for excellence. You see, that's why we're moving in one sport. Because you know that if you even move any further, there's no consequence to it. There's no benefit. You see, there's no country that thrives on the lack of merit or the lack of meritocracy. It doesn't work. You see, the object is you want to excel to benefit from your efforts. If you know that you will not benefit from your efforts when you excel, then what is the need? What is the need to move? You could as well be stagnant. If you know that whether you move or not, you will benefit.
No need to move.
Why would I want to move? And that's what Senator Roy has not discussed, he has not addressed. Everything we're doing basically without merit or without equity, right, is the motion. We will not get movement till, value is assigned. Value is assigned. Look at the senator, he sits down there. You tell me that if I have, I don't know whether it's a school certificate or I have something of the sort,
school certificate,
I can walk into the Senate and make laws for people who have maybe like 5 PhDs or 10 PhDs. Now, on the average, it takes between 4.5 years and 6.5 years to obtain a doctoral degree. I say this, a first degree is 90 hours of learning. A second degree is 180 hours of learning. A doctorate is 540 hours of learning. How do you tell me that a senator who sits in the whatever they call it,
the hollow chamber,
no, please don't. It's a very disruptive word. Hollow. There's nothing hollow about it. How do you explain him earning more than a professor of surgery, a professor of cardiology, an astrophysicist, or a nuclear physicist? We are a joke as a nation. How do we explain even the appointment of the kind of leadership that we possess today? Look, there will be no movement, like he said, until people are rewarded for moving. I don't have any reason to move. There's none.
Until merit is rewarded.
Yes. You look, for us to move, it will be a question of, okay, if you can get there, whoever gets there first, gets there properly, takes it. Whoa. You won't even tell people. You will see them move at the speed of light, if they can. Because they know that their effort will be rewarded. They will think over time. But look, why do I want to think now? All I need to do is know somebody. Why do I want to think if I simply have to be Fulani? Why do I have to think if I simply have to be Yoruba? I say this all the time. And I don't mean any disrespect to anybody. I look at Lagos State. Brilliant. Of course, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and Lagos is the one-eyed man who is king over Nigeria. Is this where we're going to? Are we not going to move to the next level? Is there no next step to move to? And we see Lagos State celebrate thugs and rarely celebrating scholars, rarely celebrating people of excellence. You see songs being sung about people who have no positive element to add to society. That is our new norm. That is our new standard. So the question really is, for me, is, why do I have to excel if I can just be a riff-raff and succeed and live somewhere in Ikoyi and do well? Why? It will continue to be motion, like he said, till we reach a point where we are rewarded for excellence. Excellence is what moves people forward, what moves things, what creates motion. It's excellence. I will be celebrated for the good work I do. I will be celebrated not for handouts, but for adding to the value of your life. I created a solar generator, for instance. That's bringing power to the whole of Lagos State. And I know I'm going to be rewarded for it over a man who has chosen to do nothing. Why wouldn't I do it? But when it provides no benefits whatsoever, I'm neither improving the lives of myself or the lives of others. Why would I do it? And these are the questions we need to start asking ourselves. So Roy says, he tells us so much about motion. He has a conversation into motion with us. But he didn't tell us why. There is no movement.